Hi guys! Welcome to my review of Orphan Black episode 402, Transgressive Border Crossing. That's a bit of a mouthful of a title. After the season 4 premiere, which I reviewed last week, if you have missed my review of that, I will link it on the end card and in the description box down below for you to go and check out. I was really excited about season 4. From that first episode, you kind of got the idea that we were introducing even more clones into the mix, and so we were going to have even more opportunities for the incredible Tatiana to show off her acting skills. This episode we were back from the past and into the present, back with Sarah, back with Felix, back with Alison and Helena and all of the clones, and with Mrs S trying to figure out what's going on in the present, whereas in the first episode we had gone back to the past, taken a step out of the current conspiracy madness and gone back to visit what was going on with Beth before she died. In that episode we figured out that Beth knew an awful lot more about neolution and everything that was going on with the clones than we had realised. We got to know Beth a little bit better and I thought that it was an incredible episode. So going into episode 2, I really did hope that they were going to keep that Beth thread or that Beth presence flowing through it, which they did, which I thought was great. I really enjoyed the scenes in Beth's apartment with Art and Sarah when they were trying to look for clues and trying to figure out what had been going on with Beth that led to her killing herself. And there were those scenes where you would have, at one moment it's Beth standing in the bathroom at the bathroom mirror, and then Art would call and it was Sarah that walked back through it, and so they were kind of blending together, these two characters, and having Sarah kind of trying to relive Beth's life to figure out what she knew. So I thought that that was great. I thought that I'm going to jump around a bit in this review because I'm going to keep this quite short, so I'm really just going to talk about the main things that I really enjoyed about the episode. But I thought that the scene at the end between Beth and MK, that goodbye scene, was so incredibly powerful and beautifully acted by Tatiana. She's just, I feel like I have to try and stop myself from just consistently talking about how wonderful she is, because that's what these reviews will turn into, is just me sitting raving and fangirling over Tatiana. But she was just absolutely stupendous in that scene. It was so heartbreaking to realise that those were the last moments, the last contact that she had with anyone before she went and did what she did. Well, as far as we know at the moment, she didn't contact anyone else after that. And that vulnerability in MK of having finally found someone that she wanted to kind of call a friend or to be there for, or someone that she could confide in, who knew what she knew, who she could talk to about this horrible conspiracy and everything that she was caught up in. And Beth was, you know, taking this huge step back, pushing her away. MK obviously at that point, I assume, did not realise that she was about to go and jump in front of a train, but realising that that was her cutting ties and saying, no, I can't do this anymore, I don't want anything more to do with this, I've ruined it, was just utterly heartbreaking. Also, I'm really intrigued as to what she has done just before this point. She's covered in blood. Who has she seen? Who has she attacked? What has happened? I really need answers for that ASAP. Coming back to our other clones, I was so happy to have more of an Alison focus in this episode. Not a massive amount of scenes, but we got an Alison and Felix scene, which are some of my favourite scenes. The relationship between those two, I just love it so much. Another very strong favourite thing about this episode was the Helena and Donnie scenes in the hospital. I thought that they were fantastic. Helena is just one of the best characters. She is absolutely brilliant. Her one-liners are fantastic, and that kind of trying to pretend that Donnie was her husband situation was just fantastic. I loved when he handed over the card, the sort of healthcare card, and it's got the picture of Alison obviously with her kind of, you know, long hair and fringe and whatever, and saying, oh, you know, obviously she's changed her hair, and Helena said yes because it was too ugly. Oh, she's just fantastic. However, as well as all the kind of funny and ridiculous things that Helena comes away with, she's also got this incredibly intense vulnerability to her, sort of along the lines of what I was saying with MK. In that moment when she finds out that she's having twins, and anytime she talks about her baby, you just feel for her, and I thought that that was so well done. I also felt really for Alison in that scene when Donnie came back from the hospital with the ultrasound picture, because she's trying to hold it together, she's trying to pretend she's not that bothered, but you can see how much it kind of hurts her that she can see how excited Donnie is, having been at the ultrasound with Helena, seeing what was going on with the babies, and knowing that that's something that she wasn't able to do, for all that she obviously absolutely adores her adopted children and they are her kids and there's never going to be any question about that. I think just that realisation that her body wasn't able to do what Helene is now doing, despite the fact that they're both clones, I think is really hard for her. And again, Tatiana playing that role, just all the little tiny nuances of that, every little facial expression, every little sort of clipped line of Alison's just highlights that so well, so she's fantastic. Poor Cosima, I really wanted to know more about the Delphine situation in this episode, but I think what they did was really nice. In the sort of earlier scenes when Mrs. S and Sarah and Kira had just got back and they were all asking how she was, and she's kind of going, oh, I'm totally fine. And then later in the episode when she breaks down and she says to Mrs. S, I just need you to tell me that she's alive. That's the moment I was waiting for. I was like, is Delphine alive or is she dead? Or do we not know? Do they not know? Do they not know where she is? And so evidently that's where we're at with that. They don't know what's happened to Delphine. They don't know where she is. From our perspective, it looked pretty much like she had died at the end of season 3, but evidently that has not been something that has been revealed to any of our other characters, and so it's kind of now a waiting game to figure out what's happened to her. I'll be honest, the neolution side of the storyline, the actual technical science side of it, is starting to kind of get past me a little bit. So all the stuff with the little worm creature that's been implanted in Sarah's cheek, and these ones, the video clip when the guy in the neolution, Club Neolution thought that Sarah was MK, and he showed her the guy with this thing implanted in him, and it was crawling up his face, and then his face like exploded or whatever it was that happened. I don't really feel like I'm 100% following what is going on in terms of the actual science of this at the moment. The whole body modification idea of it I actually find really fascinating, and I think that what they're doing in terms of seeing, not necessarily seeing, but we're hearing them talk about it and seeing the different things that people are doing to themselves. In Club Neolution, when the guy stuck his tongue out at Sarah and it was like the two tips of the tongue, that was really creepy and weird, but I think that that's all quite interesting. But I do feel that in terms of the actual science of it, I'm kind of losing the thread of it a little bit. I think that it's one of these things that I might have to watch each episode a couple of times in terms of that side of it to kind of fully keep up with what's going on there. But in terms of the characters, which is what I care most about in terms of this show, I feel like it's doing so well at the moment. The other thing that I loved was just the fact that Felix was there, because I really, really missed him from the first episode. I just think he's such a great character, and I do kind of understand why he's looking for his birth family. It must be difficult kind of having grown up as, you know, a foster kid in this family where you feel like everyone's kind of, it's this mixed bag of people who've been abandoned and you're all together, and then to find out that not only is your sister a clone and she's part of this huge conspiracy with all of these other people that she's found. And so Sarah's found Alison and Helena and Cosima and all of these people who are her, they are her sisters, and she's got them, and she's obviously got Kira, and then as it turns out, as he pointed out in the last episode, she's even related to Mrs. S through some weird scientific thing. And so for him being a part of that and loving that family and wanting to be there for them, but then they all kind of went off to Iceland together, and Sarah said, oh, but I asked you to come with us. But for him, I think he's feeling like more of an outsider than he ever did before, and so I do understand why he's wanting to look for his birth family. I also love that Alison knew that, and that he's obviously been confiding in her about that and talking to her about the search for his, you know, birth mother or whatever, because that just sort of, again, highlights that bond that they have that I just think is so lovely. I do hope that we get a couple more scenes in the next episode. It's difficult because they've got so much to pack into each episode with all the different characters and with the actual mystery of this conspiracy. It's difficult to find time for kind of a quiet moment for Felix to just sit and have a conversation with Sarah or whatever, but I really hope that we get some moments where they can sit together and just talk about what it is that he's going through, because I just want him to have some support and just, you know, feel part of the family again. So I think I'm just going to leave it there. Those were my thoughts on episode 2 of season 4. Let me know in the comments down below if you watched it, what you thought of it. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up just to let me know. Don't forget that if you want to keep up to date with all of my reviews, you can hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope that you're having a great day, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye. Beth is the clone that we know about, but we don't really know as a person, and so she's someone who has appeared throughout the show in little bits and pieces.